Alexander, hey, how's it going?
How's it going? How you doing? Thank you for having
Good.
me on.
Yeah, I'm so excited for your show for Naomi because it's going to be dropping tomorrow. How are you feeling?
I'm nervous. I'm very nervous, but I'm excited as well.
What do you think it is about this show? Because, we've seen superhero shows before, but this one feels like nothing else. A little more modern, a little more up to date. How do you feel about it?
I think this is an Ava DuVernay specialty. She's amazing at what she does, and everyone's going to see it in this show. From the pilot, when we shot the pilot, she really had a vision for everything, and you could see her guiding everybody from crew to actors to everybody on set towards that one vision, and then we kind of took it and just went with it. The show is going to be great. It's different. It's not your typical TV show formula. I think it's just special, man. Naomi's special. I mean, she's the first Black female superhero to have her own show. That is huge.
So tell me a little bit. You brought up a lot there. Let's start with Ava, because I read that she had you in mind, that she envisioned you when you were doing the audition. She basically said, this role is yours. What do you think it was? Where do you think the click was? What do you think that she knew that you would be perfect for Dee?
Honestly, I don't know. I just remember that audition process, and it was nerve-wracking, man. I was so nervous. I was so just, focused, nervous, and really like honed in on it, and the first audition I did, I just stuck to what I wanted to do. I made a choice. I kind of saw him in my mind a little bit, and I guess it was what Ava saw, and she gave me a couple notes, and I adapted to it and just kept on with that precision. Also, I had an idea of him being like a teacher, and I've had a lot of great teachers in my life, and mentors and people who I admired, and I brought that into it, and I think that's kind of what really stood out.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk a little bit more about the character, because I had received the first episode, and your team hooked me up with as many episodes as I could get, which was 2, because there's a lot of secrecy around the show. But we get a little bit of a sense of who you are in the first 2. We know that Dee is very soft-spoken. We can see a bit of the physicality, but it feels like there's a lot there. There's a lot hidden, and there's a lot that's going to be revealed over the course of the season. So can you tell me a little bit about sort of what we're going to see at the beginning, and how deep you fall into this character?
In the beginning, you're going to see, you're not going to know what Dee is. You're not going to know who he is, what his deal is, what he wants with Naomi. You're just going to know this guy's a dark figure who's mysterious, and which is intriguing because it's going to make people watch. And I didn't even know in the beginning. We got the scripts, we'd read, and you're like, okay, so what do I do with this? And what do I do with this scene? But there are hints, and there are little cookie crumbs. There's a nice little trail when he has his moments with Naomi. Mm-hmm. And you see that flowers start to blossom, and those seeds start to get planted. And that's the beauty of it. That's kind of where the season goes and how it goes. And I believe it's going to leave the audience wanting more, because I was acting in it on set, and I was like, what's going to happen next? So if I was doing that, imagine what the audience is going to do. So
tell me about Kaci, and how she plays Naomi, and the bond that you have between the two of you, the interplay. How does that feel working with her?
Kaci's amazing. Kaci's an amazing actress, super intelligent, super vibrant, super charismatic. She's literally Naomi. She's perfect. I mean, I remember our audition, our back and forth, our screen test. I was like, this girl is amazing. And when I met her and we were on set, just the amount of work that she has to do is mind-boggling. And I think she's going to be a wonderful role model to young people growing up. And the chemistry that we had was organic, because we met. We're playing these two characters who don't know each other, and they have to get to know each other, and we got to know each other through our dialogue, which is, it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things I wasn't aware of until I started diving in is that this is a relatively new comic. You know, in the pilot, you mentioned Superman, but Naomi, I believe, as the existing comic, has only been around for a couple of years. So, you know, how does
Yeah.
that feel? Did you have a familiarity with it? Did you know a lot about it?
I didn't know a lot about it. I heard about it, never read it until, you know, it came up. But then when I did read it and I went and picked up the comic, I mean, it's a beautiful comic. I don't know if you've seen it.
Mhm.
Physically, it's beautiful. The drawing, the art, and then Brian Michael Bendis, who's a genius. The storyline's unbelievable. And he modeled Naomi after his own adopted daughter, which is another brilliant thing, you know? So it's like when, you know, when things have synergy, they just link. You know, it went from Bendis to Ava, and it's just like, and I think you just have to. I still don't know what's going on. I'm just here. I'm acting, you know, and just excited.
Are you a very spiritual person? Are you a very meditative person?
Well, I became meditative after, you know, picking up D because he's meditative and he's very Zen. So that's kind of what it's helped, and it's become a part of me, which is great. But yeah, I mean, I believe in energy. I'm spiritual. I believe in faith, and just being at the right place at the right time. You know, I've had a lot of setbacks in my life, so nothing came easy, which is why I'm, you know, I have so much gratitude for Ava and for this project.
Obviously, the focus on the show is in diversity, and you know, we're seeing things again that we haven't really seen before. You know, how important the show is a slow reveal, and obviously, you know, just from 2 episodes, I know that there's way more to come, but I'm kind of getting that sense. So, you know, how important is that to you?
I mean, I think it's important for everybody because I think it's the future, and it's you know, the show teaches people how to come together and how to basically, in real terms, overcome. You know, this is a young girl who has the world on her shoulders, and she has her group of friends who are all great friends, who all love her, her parents who love her, and she's put in extraordinary circumstances, and somehow she has to find her way out. And that's the cool part about it, because it's not over exaggerated. It's very grounded, and it's going to help a lot of people. I think a lot of kids who are going to watch this show who have those kind of questions, who are in situations that kind of can, you know, be parallel to it with school or just things that they want to do in life. They're going to get some advice from the show because it's written so well and it's got such a great message behind it. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that was Ava's, you know, that's what she really saw in this, and that's kind of what she wanted to convey. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing.
So I want to grab back to something that you talked about earlier about, you know, maybe learning from D, learning from the character. You know, when we see you on screen, we see the tats. I imagine those aren't your tats.
No, I don't have it. No.
Yeah, and then also that, you know, you were talking about that sort of Zen. You know, the character talks in a certain way and sort of feels. We get a vibe from the character. But you said that wasn't necessarily you, or that you've become more like that. So, you know, how immersive is it in that way, you know, and just in terms of, you know, what you're wearing, what you're looking like, you know, how do you fall into that character in that way?
I think everybody has that part of them in them. They just have to unlock it, you know, and I think we're so busy throughout life that we just stomp over it, look over it. But essentially humans they're kinetic energy, they're energy based, they're kinetic. You know, they used to do a lot of like stargazing, you know. So in my research and just playing D, I slowed down a lot. And from slowing down, I picked more things up, because instead of going to try to get things, I kind of had them come to me. And that's when how I started to build his character, you know, because I'm a very fast paced guy. I'm like red line, always go, 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 go. Yeah. So for someone who's fast paced to get into that Zen mode, it takes a lot of work.
And I wanted to again touch upon, you mentioned some mentors. You've had a lot of mentors. I don't know if D feels like maybe like almost like a reluctant mentor, or maybe a mentor that we haven't quite seen acted in the way that we're familiar with. You know, it's
Right.
not like a straight line. You kind of get around. Did you find that your mentors that you knew at the time, or was it something you come back to and say, oh, well, actually, I learned a lot from this particular person? Like how aware were you of sort of that mentor protege type relationship?
A lot of my mentors, I wouldn't say mentors, but just people that guided me
Yeah.
in life, were reluctant. We're like, look, all right, but they were good. They were, they were hard people, but they were good-hearted people. And it's when they stopped and then gave me the advice and the guidance, truly, that I saw it and I remember it. And I think Dee's like that because that's the truth. It's reality. It's not fake. It's not some, oh, you have a journey to go on and all this kind of stuff. No, it's like, do I really want to do this? If I do this, I'm going to have to, this is a sacrifice and I don't want to steer her in the wrong direction. A lot of questions, which is what makes for great TV. So,
yeah, and it does kind of seem like, you've been in the business a while, but it does feel like this is sort of the right role now. Like,
yeah,
you don't want to say culmination, and I'm okay with that, but it kind of feels like, you've built on maybe your experience in the business, or maybe a change of life, or just something feels like like, I don't know if you could have played this role 10 years ago, for example.
Yeah, I couldn't have. I mean, it literally, like, for instance, before this, I did a Mandalorian with Bryce Dallas Howard. And just that, it was a small role, it was very small, but being on set with that, I learned and I culminated and I started to adapt and go. And then Orange is the New Black, the same thing. You learn as you go, but this is different. This is a different level. And, this is for Ava, and this is like stepping it up and fully committed. And I fully believe in this project. It's amazing. Not that I haven't believed in all the other projects, but my heart's in this fully invested.
Well, let me dip back, and I know that the focus is here, but I'm very curious about Orange is the New Black because you were playing it was kind of a funny role. You're playing Red's son, or one of Red's sons, and it's a little funny, it's a little strange. You're doing Russia. Like, how did that feel? How did it feel to play that role?
I love that role. I think that role was great. I kind of screwed up in that because so they wouldn't tell. It's just it's the age-old thing. They wouldn't tell you what was going on. And then I got a film in Korea. I got offered like a movie in Korea. And instead of staying, I had a whole arc and a whole thing lined up for, the next season, that season, the next season. But they wouldn't tell me. So I had no clue. So I'm like, what do I do? Do I stay and just hope? Or do I go do this cool Korean movie, which was a great experience as well? I ended up going to the movie. So that was a huge learning experience. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do a Korean movie, or don't do that particular.
No, Korean movies are amazing.
Yeah,
but stick around, be patient.
Right.
We had the patience, and I didn't have the patience. I was like, let's go. So you learn, you live and learn. And
how have you enjoyed sort of a journey into genre?
It hasn't hit me. I get the jobs and I'm just like, oh my God. I've been very lucky. I've had some great casting directors who believe in me and have given me amazing advice, like Sarah Finn. Just like, I love her. But it's strange. It's like I've always been around that kind of quadrant, and then it's like, okay, let's put it here. Let's do this. That's why I was talking about the Destiny thing. It was like, I've always wanted to do these other projects that were kind of like indie based, and I want to do this and crazy weird things, and never happened. But the stuff like the Mandalorian and this and some other shows that I was on, it was good stuff. I was just placed into it, which is nice. And it was almost like even Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I learned a lot of that show. Small role, but I was watching and learning, and I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned. So everything I learned from those experiences, I'm not doing here.
So I got to ask you on a sort of similar vein, but not quite the same, because I really do appreciate that idea of sort of learning from the roles. how about as a viewer? You know, you've been intense in this process. You've been filming a lot. You're still filming right now. But have there been shows where you've maybe been outside of them, not a part, that you've watched and you've just been like, okay, I get this. I really enjoy this. It's really meaningful for me.
I love Breaking Bad. I know that's like 20 years ago,
No, it's
but I
great.
didn't watch it until last year.
Yeah.
You know, I just think it's brilliant. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great shows out there. Black Mirror is a great show.
Yeah.
And I said before, I said it earlier to a different thing, that I watch like in increments, you know.
Mhm.
I can't binge watch because I'm always moving and I'm always going, and
Mhm.
so I'll have stuff on the side while I write or read or study or listen to music or whatever. So I kind of like I watch you know, through my peripheral.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
I'll ask you for this show in particular because, you know, so much of it, there's a lot of secrecy, there's a lot of reveals, you know, we're going to it slowly. I notice that, you know, now, even now we can't say too much, but I'm curious to hear sort of, you know, when the show dropped tomorrow and when
Tomorrow,
people
yeah.
are really getting into it as they will. It's a incredible show. What are you excited for people to see? What are you excited to see? What do you think is the reaction going to be like?
I have a theory. I have a theory that I think it's gonna snowball. And I'm not saying this because it's my show and I'm on it and I'm a part of it and I love it, but I just, because the writing is so, it's just so done so well. The writing, the directing, the acting, the tension, and the way the story unfolds for such a small story, it's huge. And I think people are going to be invested in and be like, okay, what happens now? Because they leave you hanging. It's like, okay, well, what happens now? What happens next episode? That combined with, you know, the diversity of it and how everyone's going to associate. No, it's not a cookie cutter show. There's so many characters in there that you can associate with, and especially Naomi and her gang at the high school, which is like the Scooby Gang, it's just so fun. It's like the Goonies. It's so fun. You know, it's like the kids messing around with superheroes and crazy. It's awesome. So there's a lot of different layers and levels to it that I think people of all ages will associate with it, you know?
Mhm. So I have to ask you lastly, touch upon, we talked about it briefly in the beginning, but I want to go back to it again with Ava, because I had a chance to interview Ava. Is now a long time ago. It was about 6 or 7 years ago, but she's different. She's fascinating. I see that you're very close in contact. You have the same first initial. It feels like between the two of you, I don't know, you hadn't met her before this, I don't think. You didn't have any previous connections, but it feels like you're like soul twins or something like that. Something about it, the connection. What does it mean to have her? Like, what is she bringing to this genre that's never been brought before?
Ava is ahead of her time. She is outside of the box. She does not think like everyone else does. She does not do things because other people are doing them. She does things because she believes in them. She does things from her heart, and she's a genius. She has this, there are people who are visual, right? Like in history, I don't know, Plato was like a visual person. You know, they always talked about that, how he could see things, and he can kind of reflect it off other people. That's what Ava does on set in the pilot. Like, I mean, even during the casting, we just hit it off. Like I was like, I'm in. What do we do? And it's just like back and forth, back and forth. And I knew, and I sensed, and I'm like, holy cow. And her energy is amazing on set. She's a great leader. And you can see like her on set and everyone kind of like going around her waiting. Like, okay, what do we do? And that's the sign that everything's working, because people want to give their best to her to fulfill her vision and what she sees, because it's one vision. And that's the most important thing. It's not like 50 and no, you can't do this. No, it's like, okay, what does Ava want? How are we going to do it? Because we believe that what she wants is the best. And I mean, personally, for me, the character that she created with Dee is dope. Is like, people are going to be like, what? You know, I've never seen it before. So it's you know, the proof is in the pudding, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just wanted to say it's been really interesting hearing from you, because you know, you really do have that different vibe. You know,
appreciate
usually when I'm talking to actors, I find, you know, actors are sort of all similar, but you're kind of on like a different plane. So that's been really, really interesting to hear from you, and I've genuinely enjoyed it.
I
It's
appreciate it.
really, really cool to hear, and I'm so excited for you and for your show, because it's so different. I can't wait. And you know, as you were saying with the binge, maybe people will come to it. The snowball, like it really, there's little clues all the time. So
I have a feeling, yeah, I have a feeling they may do that because of I was doing it,
yeah,
and I'm a part of it. So if I'm a part of it and I was doing that, imagine what the audience is going to do. They're going to be like, well, what's going on? What's, you know, and they're going to have all these theories and all this stuff, and all.
yeah.
It's going to be fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've gotten so used to that binge watch, and you know, it's cool, but I prefer that. I prefer that sort of slow reveal, you know, maybe one episode a week. And now I'm gonna have to, you know, I'm gonna catch up, and I'll be tuning in week to week as well too.
Yeah, and it's fun too. It's not, you know, things don't always have to be serious, and even when they are serious, they're fun.
Yeah,
It's a fun show.
yeah, you have a lot of really funny moments in it too. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
I tried to ask the right questions, right? To ask the
Yeah,
right
great
questions.
questions. Great question.
And thanks again, and I wish you the best. And with the continuing to film, you know, maybe you have some moments coming up for filming. Who knows?
Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Big stuff coming. Thank you.
Hey, thank you again, Alexander. I really appreciate it, and all the best.
Thank you. All right, Charles. Thank you.